All right, we'll go ahead and call this Twila City Planning Commission meeting to order this Wednesday, August 28th, 2024, at the hour 7 p.m. here in City Council chambers. First item on our agenda tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Number 2 on our agenda tonight is the roll call. Commissioner Gossett. Here. Commissioner Proctor. Here. Commissioner Sloan. Here. Commissioner Robinson. Here. Commissioner Jensen. Here. Commissioner Anderson. Here. I am Chairman Hamilton. I am also here. Please excuse Commissioners Dunn and Hammer. I recognize Council Members Manzione and Hansen, and staff members Mr. Hall, Mr. Hansen, and Mr. Agard joining us tonight. Number 3 on our agenda tonight is a public hearing and a decision. This is application number 2024-038, a request by Natsu Healthcare for conditional use permit approval to allow the operation of a medical clinic, including social and medical detoxification services on property located at 1959 North Aaron Drive in the Overlake Highway Commercial Zoning District. Mr. Hall.
Thank you. As you said, this is a conditional use permit request by Natsu Healthcare. They have this facility where they have some administrative services going on, and they would like to add this clinic for medical purposes for detoxification, social and medical detoxification. It is on Aaron Drive there. You can see, we'll come back to this slide in a second to talk about access. But as you said, it's in the Overlake Highway Commercial Zone. So Overlake, just for the public and for the record, is a little different, governed by some zones that were set up in a development agreement. So all you see on the zoning map that we have here online is that it's in Overlake in that special district. This is the actual, from the development agreement, it's in this Highway Commercial Zone. So it is an allowable use with conditional approval from the Planning Commission. That's why it's before you tonight, to have any kind of medical clinic, hospital, that kind of thing, and this would fall under both of those categories. Natsu would like to perform detoxification there. We talked in the report about social and medical detoxification. I'm going to oversimplify it because that's the only way that I understand it. So social detoxification would be when you remove yourself from the addiction, from whatever you're addicted to. Medical detoxification is simply that removal, and then also the administration of methadone or whatever kind of medications are needed to complete that detoxification process. Does that make enough sense? So both of those things would be happening here. It's a limited number of beds. It's not a large facility. We'd be talking about 18 beds maximum. The stays would be residential in nature for a very short time, between 3 days and a week, 2 weeks, depending on the situation. This zoning will allow that, but what we're supposed to do as a commission, as a city, is look at what kinds of things we need to make sure are not problematic for the area that this is in. Staff looking at this has talked about a couple of things in the report. Again, it's a limited number of beds, so we're not talking about a lot of coming and going really added to this situation. It's already office uses in this area, some other uses like that. It wouldn't add a lot of traffic vehicular-wise. People are in the clinic and staying inside, so you're not seeing a lot of activity as a result. Hours of operation, though, normal hours in a place like this would be between 6 and 7 p.m. maybe, 6 a.m., 7 p.m., 7 a.m., 7 p.m. This kind of facility, though, will see people coming in, being checked in later at night, but that would be a limited basis because we're only talking about 18 beds total, and lots of those are going to be occupied at different times. So we did talk about hours of operation. They would need to admit people at different hours on a limited basis, however, and there are building and fire codes that are going to change. Most of the changes are not going to be external. There's not a need for changing in buffering or in lighting that we've seen. Parking is adequate. Access, we did want to just make sure that they're talking to their potential patients about coming to the facility from 2000 North so that the neighborhood to the south and west is not impacted. Although that's an impractical way to get there, I'm sure that that's probably not anyone's first choice, but we wanted to make that part of their information as a condition of approval. And then, so again, just most of the changes would be internal to accommodate this because the fire and building codes would change with this kind of facility. Normally people aren't staying and being cared for in an office environment like this. The clinic changes that. So those are the 5 conditions to cover those kinds of things. That's basically it for us as staff. If you have any questions for us, we'd be happy to answer.
All right, let's bring this back to the commission for questions.
And no one from the public responded to the notice?
Not on this item, no. I do have one public comment to read in the other one, but not on this one.
All right. Hearing no questions or comments from commission, this item does require a public hearing. Is the representative from Natsu Healthcare here tonight? We'll give you some time after the public hearing if you want to address the commission. All right, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing for this particular item. Please approach the podium, state your name for the record, and write your name for the record as well, please. Seeing no one approach, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this particular item. And if you'd like to address the commission, you're welcome to now. Please state your name for the record and write it again.
My name is Victor Garcia. I am the Chief Operating Officer, Executive Officer of Natsu Healthcare. This is a needed service here in Tooele. We would be actually the first medical detox and social detox in Tooele. As of now, Mountain West, most of any individual that has any detox necessities, they're actually trying to find beds outside of Tooele. So we would be serving specifically Tooele and people that needed this. So it's pretty much, I don't know if you guys have any questions about anything.
Commission have any questions for the applicant? Yes, Commissioner Sloan.
Victor, just based on your last statement, you said these would be to serve the folks at Tooele. Is that a requirement for admission there? I mean, if you've got 14 beds available and somebody from Salt Lake, somebody from Utah County, somebody somewhere else, will you be housing them there as well, or is it going to be Tooele exclusive?
So we will open up to, our detox would open up to the public, to anybody. With any type of detox, it is a quick turnaround. Typically, they're there depending on what it is. If it's a social detox, really they're just trying to get we're monitoring them, making sure any type of substance is coming out of their body. Meth, there's not a whole lot with meth, but typically just time. They sleep it off. And with medical, there is some, of course, interventions to help detoxify, get the drugs out of the body, and that takes a little bit of time too. So it's pretty much a little bit of a quick turnaround. So we'd be people being there between 3 to 14 days, give or take.
Perfect. Any other questions from the commission? Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Appreciate you. All right, let's bring this back to the commission for any other further questions or discussion. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the request for a conditional use permit application 2024-038 by Natsu Healthcare to allow a medical clinic on the property 1959 North Aaron Drive, subject to the conditions and the findings listed in the staff report dated August 23rd, 2024.
I've got a motion to approve from Commissioner Robinson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Jensen. And because John is new, we're going to go backwards today, so we don't throw him under the bus quite yet.
We got a hard time with roll calls.
I know. We won't stress him out anymore today. Commissioner Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Jensen?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloan?
Aye.
Commissioner Proctor?
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett?
Aye.
I am Chairman Hamilton. I also vote aye. That one passes 7-0. Number 4 on our agenda tonight is a public hearing and a recommendation. This is application 2024-031. It's a request by Julia Labrielle and GL Home Investments to amend the land use map designation for 9.81 acres of property located at approximately 300 east, 1,000 north from medium density residential to high density residential. Mr. Hall.
Thank you. This request, I just wanted to spend a moment and talk about the land use map versus the zoning map for the record and for public, if there's anyone watching and interested in this. This 9.81 acres is currently vacant. It wraps in that kind of L shape around that facility and just east of the fire station here that's going in. So it is 9.81 acres of vacant property that is in the medium density residential or MDR land use designation. So the general plan has a land use map that designates It's kind of confusing sometimes because those designations look and feel a lot like zoning designations, but it's important to note that they are not zoning designations. The land use map is intended to govern or guide zoning change decisions. The current designation is medium-density residential, and they have asked for high-density residential. You can see there's a little bit of high-density residential across 1000 North, and this red in the area to the west is regional commercial, and then medium-density residential is all of this yellow. There are other designations as well, like you can see the open space there, industrial, et cetera, but the pertinent ones are medium-density and high-density residential. That's not to say what the zoning is. The zoning is actually, I didn't put a zoning map here, but the current zoning of the property is actually rural residential. I forget if it's 5 or 1, but it's rural residential. So it's 1 acre lots or 5 acre lots. It's not zoned for any kind of even single-family zoning, single-family housing like on 8,000 square foot or 7,000 square foot lots. The zoning map, or sorry, the land use map designations, as I said, kind of govern or guide what happens with zoning in the future. So that top table tells you from that general plan, medium-density residential is going to have preferred zones or zones that it supports, and that would be the R110, R18, and R17. Now, although you can do with different sizes of lots some duplexes in those zones, basically the medium-density residential designation denotes single-family zoning coming in the future. The high-density residential, on the other hand, denotes those multifamily designations, MR8, MR16, and MR20. So you have between 8 and 20 dwelling units to the acre, and then you can see in that table also R110, R18, and R17. That's not governed by a density the same way that multifamily is. It's lot sizes that dictate that, but you wind up with densities between half a unit per acre and 3.5 units per acre, generally speaking. You can get a little higher depending. Anyway, that's basically how that works. So land use map, and the request tonight is for an amendment to the land use map designation. That would allow them then, if that's passed by the Planning Commission and City Council, that would allow them then to seek and be supported more, not a guarantee, but being able to seek and be more supported for a designation like multifamily residential 8 or 16 or 20. Does that make sense? Okay. So a couple of things that we wanted to bring out that were in this is just a summation kind of the findings from staff in the report from the planning review. This is from the section of the general plan that talks about the land use category or the land use designation, high density. High density developments, or where you're going to apply that designation, should be situated in close proximity to recreation opportunities, to services like restaurants and employment, to schools, to transit opportunities, commercial centers, and employment centers. This property, you're seeing it right here. It kind of wraps around this facility. I forget if it's a retirement facility? Senior
Assisted living center.
There you go, assisted living center. Thank you. I didn't want to say it wrong, but. So it wraps around there in that kind of L shape. You can see the commercial along SR 36, Main Street there, and there's more development coming in that area. So there's some commercial in that area that would serve higher density housing. The second point from that category in the general plan is the high density development should provide a buffer between single family areas and non-residential uses. I'm summarizing that there's more language, but that's basically the gist of it. So you do have residential that's more single family in nature to the east, and then again, of course, the commercial and industrial development along Main Street. So in that sense, it may fit that bill. And then from the general plan's goal number 4, I think, generally is to maintain a balance of land uses and support a high quality of life, a diverse economic base, and a mixture of housing and leisure opportunities. Townhomes do represent that kind of mid-tier development opportunity between higher density apartments and single-family zoning. I say that because their application is titled Townhomes 1000 North. The applicants have stressed that their intent is to build townhomes on this property, develop it for townhomes. Something to bear in mind as well, though, that this is a couple of things as you deliberate and make your decision on your recommendation. It is a request for the land use map amendment only. It doesn't create a zone for it. It doesn't apply a zone to it. If the Planning Commission recommends and the City Council votes and approves a change in this land use map amendment, the zoning the day after that will still be rural residential 5. They'll have to apply for a zone change and be approved for that zone change if they so choose. And then after that, if they're approved for a zone change, they'll come in and ask for subdivision or approval for a housing development of some kind. They're looking for townhomes, they say, but if high-density residential as a land use category does support, just as to keep in mind, multifamily residential 8, 16, and 20. So those changes, those zonings, any of those zones could be supported by it. It doesn't mean they're guaranteed that. It's just a question. There are lots of other questions that come up: water, resources, transit, accessing the property and making sure it's a deep property, 9.81 acres. There's no way out of it, so they'll have challenges for development that have to be overcome as they look at developing the property if they're given a change to zoning subsequently after receiving a change to land use map amendment. I think that's really all I wanted to make sure you knew. I'm trying to make sure I didn't skip anything, and I don't think so. Any questions for staff at this point?
Let's bring us back to commission for questions for staff.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
could I
Mr.
add
Agard.
something to this? Excuse me. I know the commission's aware, maybe Commissioner Gossett may not be, but we have in our general plan a moderate income housing plan that is required by the state. And two of our strategies in that moderate income housing plan require or encourage the city to rezone to zones that permit the construction of moderate income housing. Now, in this case, higher density residential properties don't necessarily equate to higher density, but it does provide a better opportunity to build higher density housing or moderate income housing. And so staff always forbears to provide an official recommendation on these, as this is a legislative matter. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention so you're aware that these types of applications do help us to fulfill state requirements for moderate income housing. So I just wanted to throw that out there for your knowledge. Yeah, there you go. If you have any questions about it, let me know.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Let's bring this back to the commission for questions or comments. Commissioner Sloan?
I don't necessarily have a comment about some of the things that I'm sure are bouncing through a lot of our heads. But I also remind myself that we'll have an opportunity to deal with some of these issues down the road if we should choose to pass this particular one. Jared talked about some of the hills that'll need to be climbed by anything that's developed on this. And again, I'm a big fan of doing whatever I can do to bring more attainable housing into the area, but understanding tonight that we're doing the underlay, we're not doing the zone, we're not dictating where the traffic goes, we're not dictating how many per acre. There was an excellent conversation from City Council last week, I thought, and I know they've got their druthers as far as density on this piece, which I'll let them deal with. But just to remind all of us that this is step one, and we don't need to necessarily get into the weeds.
Always a good reminder. I like that.
But without
Kelly's dying to read that, so we get.
But without getting into the weeds, looking into that big crystal ball, if we change the land use map on this, how quickly is everything to the north going to be requesting that land use map change?
Yeah, we don't know that answer.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
And we can argue that. I don't think we're necessarily in disagreement with that, but anything that, as I look at just this aerial photo right here, anything going north from that would still fit the requirements that the city has put out as far as buffering and proximity to transit and proximity to commercial and job opportunities. So I don't think those requests would necessarily be out of bounds. We've continually, as a commission and as a council, said we need these sorts of products, and yeah, whether it's this one or somewhere else, we keep hearing, well, we want it, we need it, just not right here. Well, we couldn't have taken a better picture of a piece of property that fits where we've said we want it. Now, I won't be quite as numb to the problems if we're dealing with a rezone request or a site plan down the road.
Especially with that flag kind of lot.
Yep.
Yep, good discussion, good comments.
I have a question for
Yes.
staff, maybe. Is the road that's supposed to go down on the east side of the fire station, is that 130 east? Is that,
I don't know the address of that, I'm sorry. And
Be like 180 roughly.
where would that tie back? Would that tie back into me? Is there a plan for that?
Um,
Where it would tie in eventually?
I saw a reference to that in the application.
I did too.
Yeah, I believe that road is still part of the potential plans, but I don't have anything in front of me or this kind of development might help get that done. But right now, I don't have anything for that.
Okay. I understand Commissioner Sloan's not about not getting in the weeds, but it's hard not to think.
There's a
'cause
lot
the
of weeds
traffic
on
is
this piece,
horrible
yeah.
down
But without a doubt, and like I said, we'll have a very robust
But I
conversation
also
about
agree
that.
that it's a good spot for that, because it does everything.
And,
that we
and
want it to do.
anything in not, I'm going to stay out of the weeds, I promise. But yeah, there's no real area plan for this beyond knowing that road east of the fire station needs to go in, or some kind of road in that area. This might preclude that. If this development comes in and provides one, then we might decide from the transportation plan that we need to carry that north, and any development that gets approval, take all those kinds of things into consideration. How do you get from this into other areas and other areas and other areas, and keep it from being a problem? So, yeah.
Because if it was done right, it would maybe help the traffic in that intersection. So,
Thank you, good question.
Yes, great discussion. Any other questions or comments from the commission? All right, this one also does require a public hearing. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing to this particular item. If you want to speak to this item, please approach the podium, state your name for the record, and write your name for the record.
If nobody live has any comments, I do have one email comment.
Yes,
to read
please.
to. This email came in this afternoon, just a little bit ago, from Denise Graham to the Planning Commission public comment section. I let her know that we would read it into the record. It says, "We have too much high-density housing. Every time you approve more high-density housing, it costs us more tax dollars to build more schools. You are pricing us out of our homes. Stop building. We don't have enough water or resources."
Thank you. All right, seeing no one else approach, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Is the applicant here tonight? Yes, would you like to address the commission? You don't have to if you don't want to. Please state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Julia Laboriel, and I have no comments.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, I'll bring this back to the commission for any other further discussion or comments. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Proctor.
I move we forward a positive recommendation to the City Council for application number 2024-031, request by Julia Laboral and GL Home Investments to amend land use map designation of 9.1 acre property located approximately 300 east, 1,000 north from medium density to high density based on the staff report.
Okay, I've got a positive recommendation from Commissioner Proctor. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
And a second from Commissioner Sloan. All right, Commissioner Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Jensen?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloan?
Aye.
Commissioner Proctor?
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett?
Aye.
I am Chairman Hamilton. I also vote aye. That one passes 7-0. Moving on to number 5 on our agenda is our city council reports. Ms. Manzione.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for your work. Just a couple of things to report from our last meeting. We did have a similar discussion about this same item. In fact, I think the discussion was very similar, and we talked a lot about that road as well, the road that we did not put in with the fire station. So this could potentially help put that road in faster. There's also we also spoke about another piece of property on further west, same road off of 1,000 North, just in our work meeting about rezoning, not rezoning, changing the land use designation first to mixed use, from regional commercial to mixed use. Somebody proposed putting some business lofts on the bottom and residential on the top. So that was not noticed in time for this meeting, but I think you'll see that soon as well. So kind of in the same area, potentially they kind of go together. One of the things we did ask for, and I think Andrew is going to work on, is kind of you know, we often say, we have enough high density, we have enough this, we have enough that. What do we actually have in the community? What is our percentage of high density versus medium density versus the larger lots? So we did ask for some information about that so we can consider that when we look at these. It's easy to take anecdotal information or to hear from a neighbor or, you know, whoever, but it's good to have some data. So we asked for that so we can take a look at that. So you guys might be interested in that as well.
Yes, that's a great point. I like that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and then in our business meeting, we did approve the annexation petition from Howard Schmidt that you guys have seen a couple of times. So that did go through with a 4-1 vote. We paid some money to dredge the ponds at the golf course, if any of you are golfers. Get rid of the sediment there. And then we are going to pay for some lighting at England Acres Park around the new basketball court that's going in and the Extreme Ninja course. So I think that will be good. There are some lights that you push the button so they come on when you're there. They're not on all the time, but they're on timers, and I think that will be helpful to the park. It gives, you know, people a place to go. We need some place. I think basketball court will be well used and Ninja court will be well used. And we're just moving forward on England Acres, trying to get that all finished. There's some great plans for it. It's very much needed, I think, in the community. So we're happy about that. And just to let you know, we will not have a meeting next week. We have some training from the Utah League of Cities and Towns. So we'll be missing that one. And that's all I have to report, unless you have questions or for me.
Any questions from the commission or council?
How was your trip to the fire station?
I was going to mention the fire station. We did go on a trip to the fire station number 3 that's under construction, and it was a great visit. It's going to be an awesome fire station, very functional, but we also thought ahead for things that we might need in the future. So it's, you know, plumbed for the future. It has some dormitories in the case that we ever need to move away from a volunteer fire department and go to a paid fire department. We'll try and hold off as long as possible on that. It's going to be great, and it should be finished by the end of the year.
Exciting. Very exciting.
Thanks for bringing that up. Anything else?
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, number 6 on our agenda is review and approval of our planning commission minutes for the meeting held on August 2024, or August 14th, 2024. Do you have any additions or corrections to those minutes? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move we approve the minutes.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Jensen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second from Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Jensen?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloan?
Aye.
Commissioner Proctor?
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett?
Aye.
I am Chairman Hamilton. I also vote aye. Those pass. Moves us on to number 7. I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Commissioner Sloan. We are adjourned.
Can't believe you guys don't jump on that.